Hi, this is Greg Knight, and I'd like to welcome you to what I'm going to be calling Cellar Conversations. I know in the first video, the little welcoming thing that we did is that we were going to call it Welcome to the Dungeon. Guess what? Somebody's already taken that. Actually, more than one person's taken that. So, after a lot of research, I found that I couldn't find anybody who had something called Cellar Conversations. And even though this is technically a basement, it's close enough. And besides, there's one little thing. If we actually get to become, by the way, this is Laz. He's one of the people that will accompany me during this, along with 7 other cats. If we actually can get enough of a following, get enough people subscribing, so we can get more mainstream, get some more people on, we move up a little bit, we'd go into a wine cellar, because then that would really be cool. You know, Cellar Conversations from a wine cellar. You know, have a little table right here, the extra chair, have a glass of wine while I'm talking to people. You know, especially take some of these public figures, let them have a glass of wine, loosen them up. Maybe they'll be a little bit honest for a change, which, you know, we have this huge issue with government officials doing so. And one of the things that I'm going to be going through all of this is this is going to be. This is unscripted, this is unrehearsed, this is spontaneity, this is when I get to the other things, the different areas where I want to be, there will be specific items to talk about, but what's going to be said is completely unknown, which I think will give it a very unique appeal. It's not going to be one of the internet things that are scripted to make it look slick, and it's not. We might do a touch of editing just so the beginning and the end aren't as long, but we're not gonna edit the conversations. We're not gonna, and you know, this is about being honest, and it's going to be one of the few places you're going to go to get honest opinions. You may not agree with them. I don't really care, but you're going to hear them, and the purpose of giving you different perspectives on things, even though, you know, my cat is distracting a bit every once in a while. I feel like I should be holding him and stroking him and going, "Whoa, we will be taking over the world," that kind of crap. But and maybe if I get Giz up there, you know, he'll go for that, because he's that type of a cat that I think he would like to. And he likes to be stroked like that too. Whoa, you know. So I don't even know what I was talking about. And that's, again, one of the things that are going to make this thing very unique and very interesting. You don't know what you're going to get. This is just, you know, a summary of what you're going to find here. It's not that little quick 1 minute, why aren't you subscribing type thing. This is the reality of what this site is to be about. You're going to find things about different lifestyles. You're going to find religious viewpoints. You're going to find politics, thoughts about politics. You're going to find, if you peruse the site, you'll already see, you know, different videos of friends and myself embarrassing ourselves with karaoke and various other areas, and I'm not ashamed of it. I don't care. This is about being honest, and even making a fool of yourself sometimes is being honest. I'm not trying to pretend. You take the karaoke, for example. The whole section that I'm going to have that's devoted to karaoke, which, if you're smart, you'll try to avoid as much as possible, because the singing there is rather atrocious. But one thing you'll find there, I don't go up there pretending I'm some great singer. That's not my objective. My objective is to go up there, relax people, let them see me have fun, let them see me, you know, me be willing to make a fool of myself. So that way they're more comfortable. They don't feel as self, so they're more relaxed. And you also find this too, because I don't rehearse, and you know, and there's one of the things I'll talk about is having MS. And having MS, a lot of times you'll find me struggling for a word here and there. One of the things that MS brings to people who have it is an ability to lose a word on the tip of your tongue, as everybody's fond of saying. Those of us with MS do have that problem. It's legitimate. We don't just make it up, although, sometimes we may try to use that to our advantage. That, well, I know the word, but, but you never know if I'm really fooling or if I really have forgotten. It's really there and I can't get it out. The other thing is, I've had MS a long time. I forget things. Expect that. And that's, once again, that's adding to the honesty. Because I'm not going to hide it by editing out those moments. It will ensure that all of you know we're talking about reality here. This isn't some made up BS thing, and the idea is to get as many viewers and as many subscribers as possible, so we can take advantage that I do have press credentials to use, so I can get some people here that, we'll start small, we'll try to work our way up. I wouldn't have any problem interviewing a governor or a president or a senator, anybody like that. I'll give them a beer, a glass of wine. I don't care. Hell, I'll give them a rum and coke. Actually, I think a lot of them could use them. But, excuse me. I also drink too much coffee, which you'll see as time progresses, because we're going to do one of these each week. And the welcoming thing, I stated this little background I wasn't going to use. I used it, last week for the intro, and we all liked it. So we decided to, the black background, that way you don't see how messy my basement is. Ha-ha, ulterior motive too. So, let's see, what else? Every once in a while we'll get up and move around, but, like I said, we want to get this, change the name. We were going to that way long time ago, weren't we? Wow, ain't that cool? I finally came back. Ain't that something? We're moving good here. God, I wish we had editing, but I said we're not going to. And there's going to be a few of you thinking, yeah, he's just putting this BS on. He really isn't having that trouble remembering things. Yes, I am, and that's what's going to make this so wonderful for you guys. There will always be these great big things that would be in the normal slicked up version. Outtakes. I like outtakes, but with what I'm doing, I don't want them. We want to put on record how completely asinine I can be sometimes. So anyway, what's I why we changed the name? And you see, I'm getting there. I was going to call it Welcome to the Dungeon, and I mentioned about there were quite a few other people that were doing it, and I did all sorts of variations on the dungeon talk, because that's how I always referred to my basement, the dungeon. Then I got to thinking, after about 10 times of trying to variations of themes on dungeon, to make it sound cool, it dawned on me that due to my lifestyle and actually having a little dungeon down here, that people in the mainstream will find this to be, they won't be quite accepting of a term dungeon from somebody like me, because I really wanted to use the Dungeon Master speaks, but that just wasn't going to be cool if I ever wanted to be mainstream. Cellar can be definitely more mainstream, and yes, I'm not commercialized, but I wouldn't mind getting enough people to listen to these, so I can get some people in there, so we can actually ask public figures and even people on the street, which I will probably start interviewing people I know first. I can't wait to interview Rhonda and bringing the sex toys out just to hear her snort. That'll be real hilarious for you guys. She doesn't know I'm doing that. I'm going to be doing that in the future, but that's one of the future events that you really want to watch. I can see her dangling little, you know, we'll set some cameras differently, but you know, it's going to be really cool. You're going to have a dildo. She'll snort, she'll So, anyway, yes, I'm sure Rhonda's going to watch this and hear about this now. But we're going to have fun. We're going to be honest. We're going to talk about things. I have a very different religious point of view. I believe in universal reconciliation, which I take very seriously. And I believe that science and religion can work together. It's just the fact is that the mainstream religions have done such a crappy job of persecuting science throughout the ages that science is now returning the favor to the religions. There is no objectivity involved from either group. We have mainstream religions that are trying to distort history, factual historical events to coincide with their beliefs, which really creates issues, I feel, with their honesty. But then again, when they believe the earth was created in 7 days and everything that was in these, and considering all three of the mainstream religions buy into the Old Testament, that means they buy into all the myths and fables, especially of the Genesis era, which science and science has pretty much proven these to be false. And I would respect a religion more if they would admit that these were written as fables and say we were trying to come up with some reason for our existence, but we were wrong. That doesn't, by admitting that, it doesn't diminish the fact that there is a God. And by their unwillingness to look at the truth, look at God's truth, they have distorted everything he stands for, and that's a huge reason we're having issues in the world today. I speak God's truth as a universal reconciliation concept, which is not that unique, and please don't confuse it with the Unitarians, because I don't believe what they believe. I don't want to be associated with them. They are different. Universalism has been around as long as Christianity has, and was even considered, you know, during the great conference when they were going to decide what was in the Bible. And yes, that's one of those things I run into where the name's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't come up with it. I have Melissa in the background. I could ask her, but I won't, because that destroys the credibility that I'm trying to establish with everybody. So, you know, I know, you know, and they decided what was going to be in. They chose the book of Revelations, which was the book of fear as far as I'm concerned, over the teachings of universal reconciliation, which means is that eventually all people will be reconciled with God. Well, that sounds like it could be an easy way for people to get into heaven, but it isn't, because there's still a balancing the scales too. This is where the idea of true karma comes from. If you want to look at it closely, where everybody talks about karma's a bitch, karma's going to get you. When karma balances things out, it will. It might not be in this life. And trust me, if you want karma to hit you, you want it to hit you here. Because if you have to make your amends after you've gone, now that is a bitch. That is the true definition of what hell is about. And God will ensure everybody that needs to balance their scales does before they ever get a chance to be with Him. He is forgiving, He is understanding, but He also expects certain things out of people. We'll go into that in a whole other section someday. We'll also be talking about all sorts of social issues. God knows I'm very opinionated. I believe in equality for all people, regardless of sex, gender, race, where they come from, whether they're LGBT, you know, I don't care if they're gay, I don't care if they're transgendered, I don't care anything about their sexuality. Well, yeah, I do, because I like sex, but, You know, it's up to them what they are. Certain people, there are people that cannot help who they are, and why should they be punished for that? And that's the problem I have about all the harassment for, you know, to the LGBT, I have trouble speaking to, communities at times. And once in a while, actually, if Melissa's going to help me with this, because you'll see there's a different tone, you know, a tempo right now than when I started. She has to start learning how to tone me down when I get started, because I'm excited. I get real excited because I'm very passionate about what I do, and this is one of the things I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about standing up for people. I'm passionate about speaking my mind and being a voice. So there are times in my life, and one of them I'm going to be talking about in the second section today, that I need to speak out quicker, I need to speak out more often, and I need to speak out regardless of the ramifications to friends and family. And that is an issue I keep talking about being willing to speak, and I haven't, but I'll talk about that later. But I'm very opinionated, politically, socially. I have a concept of the future that is split. I mean, it's really, there's two things I see, and that we are at a crossroads. We are at this tremendous crossroads right now. There's this one future. We have the potential to do unbelievable, great things in our future. And there's also this other part that if we keep going down the path we're going, we're going to be the cause of our own demise. There's going to be no need for any of these religions talking about this end of days type shit. We're going to create it ourselves. That's what we're going to do if we don't do things like protecting our environment. And that's another issue you'll find out a lot I have to do. I'm rambling a lot right now for something that was just going to be, you know, kind of like, hey, this is a name change. This is why we're going to call it the Cellar Conversations. But I also wanted to give you an idea of all sorts of stuff that we're going to be talking in here. And besides that, one of my favorite things is I like to hear my voice. I like to talk. I like having people listen. If you're watching this, you're listening. So, hey, listen to me. All right, so wait, you know, you'll have this one. There's going to be another one yet today. Thank you. And I'll talk to you in a few minutes after my throat clears up a little bit. Thank you. Bye.